Sweet. Looks like we are on. We are live. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Streamline Podcast. I'm your boy, NarikChase. And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about the fantasy series created by Square Enix. Or I'm not sure if it's created by Square, but they've done a majority of the games. Final Fantasy. Now, I know I've done a video about Final Fantasy, a couple of videos on Final Fantasy, and I haven't really talked about the stuff that I liked about it and stuff I didn't like about it. And I guess I'm going to do a string of Final Fantasy videos today because I just got through playing 15 a few days ago, and I am going to prepare a review for that, so y'all guys stay tuned for that too. But while we're here, we'll just go ahead and just talk about Final Fantasy. I like Final Fantasy. First of all, for those who don't know what Final Fantasy is, it's basically a video game series that falls into the genre of like sci-fi, fantasy, science fiction, fantasy, dark fantasy, high fantasy, which is basically just all of that good stuff. And it's just a great series. One thing I do like about it is the fact that it's kind of like an anthology in many ways, because each game is a new story with new characters and new elements, new mechanics and stuff, for the most part, at least in the more later games. But there's always these core elements that kind of link them all together. And most of and all of them, they have the mention of chocobos. You have the summoning creatures like Shiva, Remu, Bahamut. You have certain creatures, behemoths, that weird plant thing with all the tentacles and the really big mouth, the cactar, the little short thing that's green, like a green lizard with like a little cloak on, a knife, and a lantern. Even the character Sid, which is more or less an engineer slash mechanic. At least in each game, he's one or the other, or an inventor or a scientist or something like that. But Final Fantasy is it's one of the most pronounced video game franchises of all time, and it's jumped over a couple of different platforms. It was on the Nintendo, I believe, first, and then it went to PlayStation for a while, and then it jumped on to like the Game Boy. I believe it was the Game Boy. But now it's like on Xbox and computer and stuff like that. It's on your mobile devices now. But Final Fantasy is just an all-around great franchise. And the reason why I like it is because of these different worlds, the different presentations, the different styles, how diverse the series is in so many different elements. You got tons of great characters, a lot of great, meaningful, and deep stories. Again, the gameplay mechanics are really memorable, fun, and each game just seems to revitalize it in some type of way. Now, if you're more of the hardcore back in the day type, then yes, you would kind of have an issue with where the direction that they're going nowadays. But I don't, because I like how diverse the series is already. So it's not going to be too much of anything that's just going to be like, I do have many of the games. A lot of them are downloaded. I have it on download, but I do have some of the games. You probably might not see it because look, I had to get Final Fantasy VII. It's probably my favorite of all the Final Fantasy games. I have Dissidia 012, but I do have the original one, a Dissidia game on my PSP, which I need to actually charge and start playing again. Because it was actually, did I have it on there or did I borrow it? I don't know. I had it. I borrowed this Final Fantasy 13. I first played it and did not like this game, but when I actually got into it, the gameplay, the story, and the characters, I was like, okay, I actually like it. It was surprised me a lot. I like the cinematic look of it. Of course, like everybody else, I hate how linear that game is. Just the linear game, and the best part of the game is when you get into the open world sections. But it's actually a pretty good game too. I started playing this Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, and I'm not sure if this means that this was a remake of another one, and it's different. But I'm trying to get into it a little bit more, especially with the story and everything. But the biggest thing about that game that's kind of different is you're playing with like 12 characters. and it's more of like kind of a hack and slash game a little bit more. And since we have those characters, I'm kind of worried about it because it's like, are there any actual stories based around these characters that we can explore? They do have the the large and 3D environments you can walk around in and everything and interact with characters and stuff, information that you can find. They even have the overworld, the large overworld where you can just run around and fight monsters at your leisure and go to these towns and stuff. Like, cool, but I'm just kind of worried about the story because, you got all these characters and I hope that you can make them distinguishable. Because so far, as much I've been playing it, I also have Final Fantasy X, which I really like this game too. I didn't like how linear it was, but it's a hell of a lot less linear than this game. But I did really enjoy this one too. There was so many elements. I love the story and the characters, and gameplay. But try not to yawn. I don't know why I said it. Why did I? Oh, sorry. Excuse me. But I do like Final Fantasy because it's a very, very, very diverse game. I did download Final Fantasy 9, and I wish I can get it on hard copy version of it too. I did download a digital version of this because I didn't want to mess this one up. But I'm pretty careful with my games anyway. So I have also one of the Final Fantasy games on my phone. I'm not sure which one it is. Let me look at it right quick. Opera Omnia. That I know they have the Brave Exodus, whatever that game is, and I know it's got a ton of characters in it from all of the franchises. And I'm hoping to actually get the download that one again and give it another try. Because the reason why I didn't want to, I downloaded the first time and got rid of it is because it was eating up my data. But now, I have internet at home and stuff, so I just play it when I'm at the house, so I can check that out. I also got a whole bunch of Final Fantasy news and stuff like that. And I guess I can go ahead and get into that too. I was going to make that a separate video, but I don't think I got enough news and stuff to talk about for like 20 minutes, especially by myself. If I had somebody else, then probably. Some of the news concerns Final Fantasy 15. They have Noctis is going to be available in this Tekken 7 if he ain't already available, which I think is pretty cool. I would like to see some of these characters venture out into more fighting games. Hell, you had Cloud come up, and he was in freaking Super Smash Brothers, and I was mad about that because I'm like, Cloud doesn't need to be in this game. Yeah, like hell he don't. I started playing it. I was like, man, this dude is beast. And then of course you got the Kingdom Hearts series, which was you got the Final Fantasy crossover characters in that. You do have the deal where you actually have the Final Fantasy characters able to fight each other in an arena type gameplay, which I think actually works. I hadn't really heard too much news on the deal NT or whatever, but I'm going to look up some gameplay on that. Now I did hear that they did have have 2-man teams or 2-man teams or 3-man teams, but I hope they're not going the whole Marvel vs. Capcom route, because Marvel vs. Capcom has been going into the toilet ever since the second one, which was a pretty good game, and the third one was a decent attempt, but it sure as hell could have been a hell of a lot better. So I hope they don't do that with this deal. They had the Royal Edition, which I seen on the Xbox Live, in the Final Fantasy, where you get a bit more gameplay, a bit more story, but the most prominent feature that I've seen was the first person. And I think that's an interesting thing to add into the gameplay, because now they're trying to put first person options into every freaking thing. Grand Theft Auto 5, but which I guess Grand Theft Auto 5 will be a good one. I'll take that back. Grand Theft Auto 5 might be which would be a good one. This one I'm not so sure, especially with like the fighting mechanics, because when you're fighting, you're everywhere. You're targeting, and you're targeting, you're jumping around and doing all that stuff. So I'm not sure how the first person is going to actually work in a game like that. Is it going to like immediately zoom out? But I've been reading a little bit up on it, and they say it's kind of a problem with you doing it like that, because it's like I said, you're gonna be jumping around, you're gonna be dodging, you're gonna be warping. It's like, how in the hell is that gonna work for first person? Maybe if it's automatic, and maybe if they could patch to it automatically when you get into a fight, it zooms out to the third person perspective. yes, and then when you get through fighting, it goes back. I can understand that a little bit better, and I think it'll be pretty cool to see the character, the world from the character's eyes, and I think it'll make it a more immersive experience. Let me look this up while I talk. Should have been did this, but I'm dumb, so I do that. Also, the whole DLC with Gladios and Prompto and Ignis and all of that stuff. I don't like that because the story in the game has like the last half of the game obviously was not finished. And for them to try to pull a DLC when they could have included that into the gameplay, I don't like that. I don't agree with that at all. Finish the damn game. Then if you want to put out some side stories and extra content into it, then do that. But don't just sit there and cut half the game out and then try to, you know what I'm saying? That's not cool. I'm kind of interested. I'm interested to play it, but the problem with it is the game doesn't really give you too much exposition on the characters. Yes, fantastic dynamic between these four characters. Great dynamic. And even with the certain sections where I was actually playing it and I was like, and I wasn't with the characters, I was like, I felt like I didn't fit the gameplay, didn't feel the same. I was like, I felt like I could get my ass kicked. But when I was with them and they used to joke and stuff, they did a great job with that with the characters. But as far as like the DLC with each individual one, no, that should have actually been incorporated into the gameplay. Hell, the other Final Fantasy games had, you know, when main character they got separated, they had a little storyteller what the hell they were doing. Check out freaking 9. And hell, 13 did it. But they have a new game, Final Fantasy Explorers Force, available. I kind of interested in trying to play that. I hadn't really seen too much gameplay on it, but I'm getting behind on my Final Fantasy games now. Hell, I barely played this one. I just downloaded it on my phone. So, and I got to play Brave Exodus, however you say it. Yeah, Dissidia, FFNT. Yeah, oh yes, the Dissidia Final Fantasy NT game fails to chart in North America or Europe on the PlayStation Store. Honestly, I like Final Fantasy Dissidia series, but the thing about it is I hadn't heard much about this one. I seen maybe a trailer or two here and there. I seen they brand on a couple noodles at the store, but I hadn't heard nothing about this game, especially with when they were talking about adding new characters. But it's like, you have not, you can't be serious. You haven't given us a big enough roster that I'm going to be told honest, I hadn't played it. So I don't know how big it is. But I don't know. I haven't heard nothing about this game. So maybe it's partly on the marketing. And if it's on the marketing, then if you're going to make a game like this, you better do a better job of marketing. Because like I said, I haven't heard nothing about this game. The only way I know anything about it is from a couple noodles at the they had a picture on a couple on the noodle cups at the store, and I read up on it here and there. But I have not seen no full-blown trailer for it. You know what I mean? Like, unlike 15, that's how trailers everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Even with these mobile games, I'm seeing trailers of them everywhere. I hadn't seen crap on the new Dissidia game, so that's got me kind of worried. And as far as the charts, and maybe it is the marketing, because like I said, if I hadn't seen it, and I'm on the internet all the freaking time, maybe it had the marketing really hasn't gotten out there like that. I did hear some pretty cool news, which I didn't really mind. Lara Croft comes to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, that's what it's called. Which I would give it to him. I think that's actually pretty cool crossover. Now, granted, it's not actually her, I don't think. I think it's like you can wear skin. It's like a skin type deal, which I think is kind of stupid. Put the character in there. You're throwing those characters in the Super Smash Brothers and freaking Tekken, so why not just throw a good character along? And in fact, when I read, it's not just like Lara Croft, it's the Temple of Osiris, like those four characters, like their skins. I think it's either their skins or maybe it is actually the characters. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I don't know much about that. Also, Brave Exvius has gotten over 30 million downloads. That's very impressive. And that must be a really good game, especially considering the fact they put all of these characters from all over the franchises and stuff into it. So I definitely need to quit slipping and jump onto this. The Windows edition of Final Fantasy 15 will have Sim 4 outfits, some silly outfits that I saw, and Sim 4 have some the Final Fantasy 15 outfits too. So that's cool, I guess. That's something, and it's complete BS if the Windows edition gets it and the Final Fantasy and those on the consoles don't. But hey, that's what it is. Final Fantasy VII Remake, of course, is in trouble again, or it will be delayed even more because now they're trying to hire a level planner. This is something that should be implemented in the earlier stages of game development. Yes, we got pretty cool cinematics and gameplay demo a few years ago, and it's been keeping everybody hoping that they're going to come through when it comes to this video game. My personal opinion, when it comes to this, they should have did an HD remake of the original game to go ahead and just kind of satisfy fans, and then turn around and then make this like newer, action-packed, open world one. That way, you already done satisfied your fans with something they wanted. Now give them something a little bit extra. And now we're going through the motions of this. Final Fantasy VII Remake better be a good freaking game. Like, with the time, the effort, the disappointment, there's no way in the freaking world that this game should suck. And if it sucks, Square Enix is going to get it. The backlash is going to kick them in their butt. But that's neither here nor there. So we'll see, hopefully, what they got going on with the Final Fantasy. Because all this waiting and all the stuff, the way that they're doing this is just completely stupid. But anyways, more about Final Fantasy, and the reason why I like it is because I do like the series because it's very diverse. It's very diverse in terms of gameplay, in terms of storytelling, which I believe, to me, the games with the best stories are actually Final Fantasy VII, because it has a lot of undertones to it, especially with the characters and their development. I like 9 too. 9 has a lot of great character development, great stories with the characters. I do like 15's, even though 15 was like convoluted, and it was not only convoluted, but it didn't feel consistent, and it felt like awkward. I don't know. Just they had an interesting story, and you could see where it was going, but they just didn't fine tune it. They didn't finish it, I guess you could say. I did like Final Fantasy X story. I thought it was great. Thought it was really complex. I thought it did a lot of good things for the characters. Not to mention, in terms of characters, I'm kind of on the fence about which game has the best characters, because the characters are all freaking awesome. I would say, from a nostalgia standpoint, I do like the Final Fantasy VII characters. After all, this is the game that got me playing the Final Fantasy games. But I guess if I'm going to be fair about any game that has the best characters, it would be this Adia series, because all of the freaking characters are in there. So I'm going to be fair. I did play 4 and I did play 6, and I hadn't finished them, which that's kind of a problem. But I do need to finish those two. But I wanted to just talk about Final Fantasy a little bit. I think that it's still a good series, and I want to see them I want to see them take the series in a new direction. By no means do I want to see them have this play out as an MMO. No Master Online, nothing like that, because I don't think the series needs to do that. They already messed it up once with the one they had earlier. I can't think it was 11 or 12. I don't think it's 12. It might have been 11 or 14. One of those two. They already did a stupid game where they did the MMO on it. And I know I'm rambling, but I'm talking about Final Fantasy, so just stick with it or shut the hell up. Hit that X button. But I do kind of want to see them take a step back with the next game, which I'm going to be talking about some do's and don'ts for the Final Fantasy 16 game. I do want to see them bring in some new elements, but I want them to still have a bit of the old ones too. Because if you're going to appeal to the new ones, still appeal to the old audience. And there's a lot of things about 15 that I liked, and there's a lot of things that I didn't like. There's a lot of things I like about 13, but that I didn't like with that I didn't like from 13. And I did do a versus post on my website. I believe it was Final Fantasy 7 versus Final Fantasy 9. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to do Final Fantasy 13 versus Final Fantasy 10. And I'm going to do a Final Fantasy 15 versus this Final Fantasy. I don't know why in the hell I thought it was a good idea to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And I need to actually post those videos up, and so hopefully people can sit there and watch them and enjoy them. But anyways, I was just talking about Final Fantasy and why I liked it, and just having just a Final Fantasy discussion. Guys, in the comment section below, let me know which one of these Final Fantasy games is your favorite, who has the best story, who has the best characters, who has the best fighting mechanics, who has the best graphics, open world. Let me know down there in the comment section. And remember, guys, Tuesdays and Thursdays we do upload videos, so stay tuned and just be ready, because we can go ahead and throw them out there. And I want y'all to stick with me, because I'm going to talk about my favorite Final Fantasy characters in the next video. So we'll catch you guys later. And remember, guys, be easy. And yes, I did mess that up.